my brother James knew a place to experiment, to be inspired, to be himself, amongst a wonderful community of poets. In the last decade of his life, he built an artistic home that was so essential to him. He found such friendship, and he found his voice. Trying to telephone him from Texas, where I live, I would inevitably, night after night, get the answer phone. Jamie was out to poetry. It meant the world to him. I love reading the change in his writing over the years, his sense of investigation, his love of nature and of travel, his pure love of words, his extraordinary writing. All this we already knew. Since Jamie died, my family has seen such an outpouring of love and friendship. So many messages in person and online, new poems written in his memory, that we've been overwhelmed by the great love shown him. It has been an enormous blessing for us to know that beyond all the people that we knew, there were so many poets we did not know that have written so fondly and so beautifully of him. I cannot begin to tell you how extraordinary all your messages have been, how wonderful it was to see so many of you at Jamie's funeral, and most of all this evening, meets to Jamie's family and non-poetic friends on the passing of this extraordinary, life-giving, generous, brave, tenacious, and most of all joyful man, the world. Do you have your pens with you? Can we make a date? Next week, on Wednesday, on the 25th of July, between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m, I'm going to email you all this, Jamie's family would like to invite you to come to his flat in Notting Hill for a glass of wine and to take, in his memory, a book or two from his vast poetry collection. We feel he would so like you to have something of his to remember him by, something from his flat, which is quite suffocated in books. We can't move, and we'd really love you to come if you can, and just take 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And if you can't actually, make it deputise someone, please. But I'll send all that stuff out. I would just like to read this poem of James's. The first half of which is he dedicated to me. The poem is called Two Table Pieces. Giorgio Morandi's city. He made his city over and over, sometimes with chimneys, sometimes with minarets, by arranging bottles on a table, and didn't need to travel. I couldn't travel that year, and found my cities in books, believing their every word. Chloe's India. As we sat outside in the sun, she laid out on the table, her in her sari, powder paints, multicolored temples, the hospital, leprosy, beaches, sunsets, storms, markets, beggars, jungles, wild elephants. What could I add? Her in her sari, powdered paints, multicolored temples. On the small table, everything had space. I'm so happy this evening is happening. Thank you all so much.